being threatened by climate change impacts. We are part of nature, but we've stepped out of bounds. We cannot continue to live as if nature can be contained or managed in a box. We must run our civilization with sustainable practices. We must transform our economy from a fossil fuel economy that now contaminates oceans and land and air alike from emissions and spills and the unintended consequences of so many polymers and compounds in our environment. We must convert to a sustainable economy, renewable energy. Runaway impacts from putting too much carbon in the natural ecosystems has led to a real sense of urgency amongst many Americans. And they now demand that our elected officials at every level act on behalf of the citizenry, especially young people who are already feeling the impacts of climate change. Young Swedish activist Greta Thunberg sailed to America in August 2019 to participate in climate awareness and action rallies. This short film presents the words of young people protesting for climate action at the Connecticut State Capitol in Hartford on September 20th, 2019. Connecticut Climate Crisis Mobilization, C3M, organized the rally, and over 1,000 people of all ages attended. The event culminated with a list of demands delivered to the governor's office.
Our band is called Semaphora. If you want to learn more about our music, come talk to me after the show. We're the ones wearing animal hats. So.
Every answer has problems, supposed to be. The richest I would still have a set capacity. This was the lesson that we wrote out for you in the end. And since you cannot...
My name is Melissa Kedabong, and I am here because environmental justice is really important.
And how are we going to get that?
Well, first we have to all agree that climate change exists, and then once we're all accepted of climate change, I'm sure we could move forward with policy change as well.
In October of 2018, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released a report. Their report said that we need to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. That 2 degrees Celsius of warming would be catastrophic, and that we have 12 years to accomplish these goals. And for the first time in my life, I felt like this problem was too big, like there was nothing I could do to help combat climate change. And I was also so scared, because at that time we had 12 years, now we're down to 11. And 11 years from now, I will be 26, and my sister will be 24. And I still want a safe future for us and our generation. So what I want to do is I want to talk about something that is also very important to our climate fight. The 2020 election. As you know, this election is coming up. And we don't just want to get a climate denier out of the White House. We want to elect a climate leader instead.
Walton. I'm from New Jersey, but I attend Connecticut College. So recently I feel like there needs to be more, just in general, like community action taken towards climate change and pushing our politicians, kind of to the point of annoying them into passing carbon pricing bills, fracking bills, and so on.
Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, stand up.
My name's Aisha Memon. I am from Norwalk, Connecticut, but I go to school in New Canaan, and I'm here because I am worried about our future. The current people in our legislature will not be here in 20 years, or will not be serving our country in 20 years, so the fact that our choices are not being heard is not good, and it matters that we stand up for our rights as young citizens.
Here's the details. Become 100% renewable in 10 years. In 2017, only 11% of the nation's energy consumption came from renewables, and that's just not enough for us. We want to build a national energy smart power grid. We want to build new buildings. We want to upgrade our buildings. We want to decarbonize our manufacturing, and we want to fund massive investment in drawdown and capture of greenhouse gases. High-speed rail transit and zero-emission vehicles are part of that too. So where would we be if that was implemented? We would have universal health care, and that would become an advocate for universal basic income, and I'm seeing a lot of students here, so I think we need that too. So where are we seeing a downfall with this plan? I mean, of course we have to find funding, but it's better than watching your children suffer from asthma, better than watching them cry that their favorite animal has gone extinct, and it's better than losing our lives. I mean, I spent money on this instead of dying. Thank you.
Maya Blake from Manchester, Connecticut. We're here because we have to be a part of this process to save ourselves. Nobody is going to come from anywhere else to save us, so we have to step up and save the planet. This greed is a little too much. You know, we have to put financial gains aside and make sure human worth is put forward.
What do we want? Climate action! When do we want it? Now! Make some noise!
Christine Blake from Manchester, Connecticut.
Great.
We just have to stop ruining Mother Nature. We're an organism against itself is just going to destroy itself.
Only frosting where there isn't a cake, and that's one tenth of all the problems that I'm certain to make. Go!
Hi, my name is Ruth Mercedes. I'm from Richfield, Connecticut, and I'm here because I don't want to be living in a Mad Max-like world in 20 years.
And so our union is well aware of the critical importance of addressing climate change and doing so with urgency. Every one of us knows that climate change is hurting poor and working class communities. In our own country, 10 years ago, Hurricane Katrina led to the deaths of over 5,000, almost entirely black and brown, almost entirely poor, and all working class people in the city of New Orleans. On the island where my family comes from, Haiti, every hurricane season, the island is battered. We've just seen the destruction in the Bahamas and on the island of Puerto Rico 2 years ago. And so we know that climate justice does not impact all communities evenly. It impacts working class people, black communities, brown communities, unequally and unjustly. Waiting is not an option. Real change is happening right now, and global solutions must be implemented. Waiting is not an option. Real change is happening.
I'm Helen Gross. I'm from Stonington also. I'm here because climate change, I think, is one of the most important issues that we're facing at this time, and it affects everyone and everything. And it's something that the government needs to take more seriously, state and the country. So,
hanging over me, my generation, and future generations. But we are here today to get rid of that weight. To tell public officials that even though they may think the kind of climate action we are asking for is impossible, we know that it is not only possible, but necessary.
my name is Molly. I'm from Stamford, Connecticut, and I'm here today to demand more action to combat the climate crisis.
Even said, we choose to go to the moon in this decade not because it is easy, but because it is hard. Fighting climate change has similar challenges. We don't know exactly how to solve all the technical challenges of switching to a sustainable world. But we do know that we are not fighting for just one community or one generation. We are fighting for all people, and we are working towards clean air, clean water, and a livable future for everyone. And we are not doing this because it is easy or because it is hard. We are doing this because our future is at stake.
I am Sarah Berger from Stonington, and I'm here because I hate climate change and it really annoys me that no one's doing anything. So, you know, universal reason.
Yet we are one of the main problems. How have we as a nation used 25% of the Earth's natural resources when we as a nation will make up only 5% of the global population? How have we as a nation polluted 40% of our lakes to the point where aquatic life has vanished from them? I'm just one person, not to mention a young one as well. But together we have the ability to create rapid change through Connecticut, New England, the United States, and the world. We are here, we will stand strong, and we will fight.
Sea level rise, storms, droughts, erosion, landslides, flooding. It's easy to say, just like news is often easy to ignore. Today there are at least 20 million people that have abandoned their homes because of such consequences. 20 million is more people than those displaced by war and political repression combined. 20 million is also easy to say, but it's not easy to think about. I think about my home, the people that live there, the places I love, the food and goods it provides for the rest of the world. And then I think of it underwater, destroyed by a storm, eroded, how there is nothing left to save and nowhere else to go. And then I think of that through 20 million eyes. Bangladesh holds 165 million people in an area smaller than Illinois. Climate change has disrupted traditional rain patterns, droughts in some areas, and dangerous flooding and riverbank erosion in others. Droughts means unhabitable land. Unhabitable land means crop failure and water shortage. Crop failure and water shortage means fleeing in an attempt to escape starvation and dehydration. Dangerous flooding and riverbank erosion means fleeing for sake of survival. Over the last decade, nearly 700,000 Bangladeshis were displaced on average each year. 700,000 each year. In 40 years, 60% of livable land in Miami will be underwater. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has deemed people in such situations, those in Bangladesh and those around the world, as environmental migrants. Migrants are defined as those who move for economic reasons. Defined as those who leave their native countries not because they are forced, but to seek better opportunities. Leaving in case of survival is not seeking a better opportunity. These people are not migrants. These people are refugees, leaving their home and fleeing from unbearable conditions, fleeing from something all of us collectively have created, but they are being punished. That our current system of international law is not written to protect climate refugees. There are no legal agreements requiring countries to support those escaping crisis. It is also important to remind ourselves that the people in power, the people making such laws, or rather not making such laws, are generally those that do not fall in demographics that are being targeted by those environmental issues. It is crucial to be aware that there are groups that are systematically suffering from climate change. There are groups of people that are dying, starving, drowning to death. And it will only get worse. The groups will expand until it becomes all of us. Will we care then when it is all of us? It is easy for people to deem us as too idealistic, too young, too radical. It is not idealistic to want a world where everyone has access to clean air and water. Desiring an economy that is not built around a resource that is harmful and also dwindling is not radical. In regards to the fight against climate change, there is simply right and wrong. Wrong are those who deny, those who ridicule, and those who stay silent. Right are those who recognize, those who take action, those who support. It is as simple as that.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm from Richfield, Connecticut. I'm here because I want a future. I've been working hard in high school, and there's no point to any of that if we're going to be underwater in like 50 years. So we need some change now, and if the youth have to do that, then I'm more than happy to be here.
I also challenge you, be the spark. Be spark that lights the fire of indignation down in the souls of your fellow man to fight climate change. Sé la chispa, be the spark that sets ablaze the hearts of all who come in contact with you with a burning desire to save this planet. Be the spark that lights the flame of the torch of freedom that shows us a way to a better world. Be that spark. Sé la chispa. Sé la chispa. Be the spark. Thank you very much.
It's impossible to love plants and not realize how threatened they are by climate change. If I wanted to preserve this biodiverse world, I had to become a fiery activist, which brings me back to Under Pressure. The school project began as a narrow investigation of the gas explosions in the Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts last year. I kept pushing to open the lens of our study, to connect these explosions to the fracked gas that caused them, and to the larger story of how our dependence on gas accelerates our climate crisis. To young people, I say connect the dots. Climate change threatens everything and everyone you love. Organize, agitate. You don't want to be investing millions of your ratepayer dollars in a dangerous, dirty fuel that feeds climate change. That is the definition of insanity. Be brave. This is the fight of our lives.
Yeah!
The 2020 election is our last chance to have a commander-in-chief who can take action on climate change and prevent the worst consequences from happening. But I won't be old enough to vote in this election. So I'm asking all of you who are or will be old enough to vote to get out there and to do so. Yes. I'm asking you to vote for me and my generation. I'm asking you to vote for our future.
We seek them and the rest of us to deliver the petitions to the governor's office, to deliver the resolution that's the community is trying to and deliver those to you.
Every answer has problems supposed to be. The richest I would still have a set capacity. This was the lesson that we wrote out.
Whereas we are on the course for sufficient warming to initiate a mass of various positive feedback loops that would dramatically accelerate warming, raising the possibility of an abrupt change to a world that is inhospitable to and maybe even incompatible with human life.
Whereas restoring a safe climate requires an emergency mobilization to a clean energy economy across all sectors and measures to protect all people and species from the consequences of warming in the near term.
Whereas indigenous, low-income communities and communities of color in the United States and abroad have suffered the gravest consequences of the extractive economy since its inception.
Whereas the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports that humanity has 11 years or until 2030 to alter massive global energy infrastructure to limit climate change to moderate levels, or 1.5 degrees Celsius, and should this warming trend be allowed to continue, humanity faces collapse of modern society as we know it, and failure of our agricultural and economic systems abroad.
Resolved, that Connecticut declares that we face a global climate emergency that threatens our way of life.
Further resolved, that Governor Lamont calls special session of the state legislature to focus on enacting emergency legislation that addresses Connecticut's contribution to climate change on a timeline that meets the standards laid out by the world's climate scientists, who recently announced that drastic reductions in fossil fuel use must occur in the next decade if we are to have a chance of limiting warming to less dangerous levels. Finally, resolved that Connecticut ensures that all communities and all public school students have access to climate and conservation education to empower them with information on why and how we must use our resources wisely. So I'd like to give you this resolution, which is what we just read you, and then also all of the signatures that we gathered today.
And now, as the data shows, the planet continues to warm at an ever-increasing rate. It is time for action right now. This is urgent.